Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Ignore the mess. It's been a very busy couple of weeks. We're here to do a deck profile. Whee! So the deck profile is on Inspirit, Flagship Vessel. It's actually a deck I've been really enjoying. So a friend of mine at my locals has been playing this deck. It made me think, actually that looks kind of fun. Is it okay if I build it? He went, yeah, that's fine. I went, brilliant. So I bought the pre-con, put my own spin to it, and holy shit, it does things. So I'm enjoying things. So, if you don't know what Inspirit does, it is a 3 mana, 1 white, 1 blue, 1 red, 1 red, and it has the station ability. It is not a creature to begin with. If it's stationed for 1, during your combat will put 2 charge counters on an artifact or 1/1/1 on a creature. And if it's stationed up to 8 plus, it's a flying creature, 5/5, that gives every other artifact indestructible. Now, yes, you do turn it into a creature sometimes, but you don't turn it into the creature most of the times. I much prefer the first station ability, and you'll see why. So, we're going to go through it. And as usual, we have divided it into decent sections, so we're just going to go with it. The first section I'm going to go through is the proliferate section, because it's the section that has the secondary commander, Kilo. Where Kilo, you know, if it's ever tapped, will proliferate anything. It is a CDH commander, but in this particular deck I like it here. And then for proliferate we have Throwing Bird for when it deals damage, we have Flux Channeler for whenever you cast a non-creature, you have this, what's this name? I never really cast it, so Tekufal, it doubles all your proliferate, which is quite nice. We have a Surge Conductor that says whenever another non-token artifact enters, we proliferate. And the last proliferate in creature form that I'm going to go into also does what the next set of cards do. It puts charge counters on everything, every artifact, and then it also puts 1/1 counters on every creature, and then you can tap a mana, tap it, and sack an artifact to proliferate. So, not too bad. Now, the reason that goes into the next stuff is because we're now going to go into the creatures that do charge counter things. So we have Core Tapper that can tap to add a charge counter to an artifact, or you can sack it to put 2 charge counters onto an artifact. Very nice. Next we have Crystalline Crawler that has Sunburst, so it immediately has charge count 1/1 counters on it. Doesn't seem as big, but there's silly things you can do with that. Vidalcan Infuser will just put a charge counter on any target artifact during your upkeep. One of the best cards in the deck, you'll see why. Then we have the things that make it cheaper. We have the Ethereum Sculptor, but then we also have Sammy Wildcat Captain to give everything affinity for artifacts, because, spoiler alert, there's not too many artifact creatures, but there are definitely plenty of artifacts. Next we have the Sailmaster Thopterist. He just gives us Thopters whenever we cast an artifact, and then you can sack artifacts to draw cards. We have McCallant Core Guidelight. I just called it Race Car because it's the only thing that has speed as a mechanic. However, if you're ever at max speed, you just go, hey, pay an extra mana every time you cast an artifact and just copy the artifact while this thing's out. Very nice. We obviously have the Kappa Cannoneer from the pre-con. I've added a Phyrexian Revoker that basically says activated abilities of a declared card name cannot be activated. So if you're going against an activated ability commander, you could just shut them down, or if you're going against a deck that has a really annoying activated ability as a 99 card that you never really want to see, or already have out on the board, you can just go no. It does not stop triggered, so do not think you can stop, like, I don't know, you're not going to be able to stop Dogmeat from making junk tokens, you're not going to be able to stop Cloud from drawing cards. We then have Phyrexian Metamorph that basically just comes in as any creature on the board or any artifact on the board. Very useful for us. Mostly because of stuff we have, but there are occasionally times where you're like, actually that opponent has something really nice. And then a card that I didn't buy, but I just had spare, is a Ursa Lord High Artificer. I took this out of a deck. realised that actually this is really good in this deck. It's all my artifacts tap for mana, and I can tap 5 to just potentially get one of my better cards. Yeah, I'm very happy with that. So that was definitely added. Next we're going to go into the creature tutors, which there are 4 of them. We're going to go with my favourite of them all, and actually what I like to call a sub-theme for the deck. We have Iron Man. Iron Man just has the ability of when it attacks, you create a treasure, you then sacrifice a non-creature artifact to grab any artifact that's 1 mana above it, and just plonk it onto the field. Very nice ability, also has haste, and he himself is an artifact, which means he's tutorable with the other things I'm going to show you. Then we have Oswald Fiddlebender that does what Iron Man does without making the treasure, and by paying a white into him and tapping him rather than attacking. We then have Trophy Mage that searches for specifically a 3 mana artifact, which seems very specific, but you'll see why. Then we have a Trinket Mage that does 4 and 5. Less things you want to grab with this, but you still grab the occasional thing, so it's always worth. And if anything, it deck thins. So you can't go wrong with it. So these are our 4 creature tutors. Now, I'm going to put that there because as I said, actually, you can probably see him better if I put him here. He is the sub-theme for the deck, so we're just going to have him sitting around. Next, we're going to go into the actual artifacts themselves. So we have, I'm going to go into the win cons. We have Magistrate Scepter. So with Magistrate Scepter, you will put a charge counter on it by paying 4 mana and tapping it. Or if you remove 3 charge counters and tap it, you take an extra turn. This is one of the win cons because it's very easy to get 3 charge counters on this every turn and just take infinite turns, because don't forget Inspirit puts 2 on, so you just need any of these proliferates, or you'll see later there's other cards that just say, hey, put a charge counter on it every turn, and that just immediately gives you infinite turns as well. And then when you have infinite turns, or you have enough way to just put a bunch of charge counters on it, you have a win con in Darksteel Reactor. Yeah, very nice, just 20 counters on it, you win the game. Very good. Next we're going to go into charge counter mana. So we're going to go with the Jeweled Amulet. Don't just put charge counters on this. If you just put charge counters on this, it won't tap for any mana. However, if you put a single land mana into it and then start putting a bunch of charge counters on it, it will tap for that mana. It just needs at least 1 mana put into it to begin with, otherwise it doesn't do anything. 0 mana artifact that does things with charge counters. Let's get another Flowing Chalice in. And technically, if you really want to, you can also run an Astral Cornucopia, which is 3x, but again, you just remove charge counters to make mana. Next, we have a Pentad Prism. Basically, it just has Sunburst, so you can remove a charge counter to add a mana. Again, if you're just putting it on with Inspirit, it just works. Same with the Gemstone Array, and with the Empowered Augmenter. However, Augmenter will just tap for the mana and not remove any counters, so it's really nice. And then the last one that needs charge counters on it to make mana is the Eternity Elevator, because if you could put 20 on it, that's 20 mana of any colour, which is very nice. Next we have charge counter artifacts that just do things in general. So we have the Lux Cannon that destroys permanents if you remove 3 charge counters from it. You have the regular Bank Buster that comes in with a charge counter, and when it does, you can remove a charge counter for 2 mana and tapping it, and you draw a card. And then if you ever have no charge counters on it, when you do that ability, you can then just go, okay, I'm just going to make a pilot now. Transmogrifying Wand, your creature is now an Ox. Very funny because again, you can just keep upping the charge counters on this, and you could even copy it with that one that copies for 1 mana. So you just go, I'm just going to turn all your things into Oxes permanently. Your commanders never exist. Your mum left when you were a child because she is now an Ox. I told you that. Yeah, it does things. We have Long Range Sensor. I'll be honest, it's just a Discover. I never ever use this for the Discover. It's there, it's nice. However, 9 times out of 10, this is usually a bridge with Iron Man to go from a 3 if I don't have any more 3s in the deck, to go into a 4 for the Darksteel Reactor. So, it's just there. Lost Jitte, similar for the 1 mana thing, however it does have nice abilities of untapping lands, etc. if you remove a charge counter from it, and does make your creatures bigger. Next we have, you put a charge counter on it and draw a card. If you pay 2 mana and tap it, and you draw a card for each charge counter on it. And then talking of drawing cards for each charge counter on it, we have Culling Dice that will, if you sack it, you draw a card for every single charge counter on it. But that one's 2 mana. And then we have a 1 mana in the form of Surge Node, which is not in the precon, but it says, hey, tap 1 mana, tap this, remove a charge counter from it, and put it onto another permanent. It enters with 6 charge counters already for 1 mana. So you pay 1 mana, you now have 6 charge counters that you can pay 1 mana to put on. Remember the Scepter. The Scepter likes having charge counters put on it. Very nice, because it also means if you manage to get into Magiceptors and you just swing with Iron Man, make the treasure, sack the treasure, you now have a way of practically going infinite. Very nice. Talking of infinite, for 2 mana, every upkeep you put a charge counter on a permanent. Yeah. 3 mana, everything has Sunburst. Well, the things that you use this mana for have Sunburst. Very nice. Power Conduit, if you have a counter literally anywhere, you can tap this and put the charge counter on it, or you can even put a 1/1 counter on something if you want to go for a quick attack win. We have Moxite Refinery that just goes, hey, you have 20 counters on something. Pay 2 mana and tap me, you can put those 20 counters anywhere else. I wonder where you would put that. Cloud Key, everything costs 1 less, essentially. Mystic Forge, practically everything is castable off the library, and you can just keep looking. Repurposing Bay, an artifact version of Oswald Fiddlebender, where you pay 1 mana into it and tap it and do the thing. However, this one requires you put 2 mana into it to sack the artifact and get 1 higher. However, it is an artifact only, so it doesn't die to creature removal, which is quite nice. We then have a vehicle that has Crew 2. Vigilance is 6 mana. However, it has, when this vehicle enters the battlefield, you can search your library for an artifact card and reveal it and put it onto the battlefield if its mana value is 2 or less. Otherwise, you put it into your hand. Again, you just more artifact search. So that's a lot of the artifact side of things. However, we have the obvious artifacts that we haven't gone through yet, which is the Soul Ring, which is this Iron Man one. So, as I said, it is a sub-theme. Anything that has the Iron Man print except Commander's Plate is in this deck. So we do run the Iron Man Soul Ring. Then we do have the Arcane Signet. Next we're going to go into the non-artifact cards. So, we are going to go like this, Oop. And we're just going to and carry on. So, we have Fabricate. This one says playtest because I'm still waiting for my Sonic secret lair to come through so I can actually have a foil copy of this. But I thought I'd get the deck list up before that arrives because I don't know when it's coming. So, it is a fun card. It just searches for any artifact for 3 mana. It has an obvious home here. Tezzeric's Gambit was in the precon. It's just proliferate while also giving you card draw. Universal Surveillance is just card draw, but you can use your artifacts to help pay for it. Enlightened Shooter is a card that I genuinely had a spare copy of because it didn't really fit in one of my decks anymore. So I just chucked it in this because, yes, searching for an artifact turn 1 is very good. Scour for Scrap. Yes, I'd like the idea of searching my library for an artifact and reading it and putting it into my hand, then shuffling. Or I could return target artifact card from my graveyard back to my hand. Sounds good to me. X spell in War of Invention, you get a mana cost X artifact to your hand. Very nice. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 into your hand, rest of the bottom of your library, and proliferate. Phase proliferate and then phase out everything on my side of the board that I actually proliferated. Yep. Then we have the removal. We have Galvanic Blast, because obviously Iron Man prints, which is just 2 damage, or if you have Metal Craft, which is 3 or more artifacts, you do 4 damage instead. Dispatch, if you have 3 or more artifacts, exile it, if not, tap it. Source of Plowshares, just Source of Plowshares, you exile, gain life to power, yay. Chaos Warp, shuffle away the thing. We have a single counterspell in the deck, which is the one that came in the pre-con, which is the Swan Song. I'll be honest, this deck is more of a combo thing. I'm not really looking at putting in a bunch of like counterspells as well. I have a deck that's full of counterspells, and it feels bad to just keep countering people's stuff, so I like to just run one in case I need it to protect a combo, but like, it's not like, if my combo dies, my combo dies. I'm not happy about it, but I can usually weasel my way. I'm a Weasley boy. Then we go into the only enchantment, which is the Inexorable Tide. Not in the pre-con, but I had a spare one from when I took it out of one of my decks. Next we go into the lands. So with the lands, we will go the artifact lands. Obviously we have the Seat of the Synod, the Ancient Den, and the Great Furnace. Then we also have the Silver Buff Bridge Bluff, the Razortide Bridge, and the Rustvale Bridge. Just the 6 artifact lands that you would normally have. Up to your artifact count, like, does other silly things. Also, technically, if a thing says you can sack an artifact but doesn't specify non-land, hello. We have Command Tower and Exotic Orchard and Evolving Wilds, because it is a commander deck. And then we'll go into the charge counter interacting stuff. So we have Blast Zone, which it itself cares about having charge counters. It wants to have charge counters on it so that we can, you know, blow stuff up. We have Khan's Bastion, which is the Wakandan Skyscraper. Just proliferate for 4 mana. We have the new Tolarian Academy land, which is put 12 charge counters on it. You tap to add blue of any for each artifact. Understand that you cannot put charge counters from Inspirit on this, but the amount of big creatures you can have, you can easily build this up, and then with the proliferate, it can get there quite easily. Next we have the Inventor's Fair, which is obviously the Iron Man land, but also artifact, gain life, search for an artifact on the land. Sounds good to me. Which then tells me we're getting into the artifact stuff, which is Academy Ruins. We can pay 1 and a blue to put an artifact to the top of our library. Buried Ruin, we can pay 2 to sacrifice it to put a artifact from graveyard into our hand. And Spire of Industry, as long as we have an artifact out, we can pay a life and get a mana of any colour. Next we have the dual lands that can enter tapped. So we have Sulphur Falls, unless you control a mountain or an island, it comes in tapped. We have Cliptrough Retreat, which is unless you have a mountain or a plains, it will come in tapped. Glacial Fortress, unless you have a plains or an island, it will enter tapped. Then we have the ones that just enter tapped in the form of a Radiant Summit, which is just, it enters tapped. We have the Temple of Epiphany that just enters tapped. Oh no, this is it unless you have 3 or more basic lands, sorry, 2 or more basic lands. However, the temples in each colour, so Scry 1, but it enters tapped. And then we have the Mother of Tap lands, which is just a tap land that's basically command tile for the deck, which is Mystic Monastery. We then have the 2 cycle lands that enter tapped, and 2 lands that I'm not a big fan of, but they're better than nothing, which is the 2 filter lands that care about you putting a colour into them to get 2 of whatever colour. Again, not a huge fan of them, but they work. Don't forget the deck list will be in the description as well. When it comes to basics, we're literally running 3 of each, so 3 plains, 3 mountains, and 3 islands. And then that is literally it for the deck. It's it's very interesting. Your main thing you're trying to do is to get like either Iron Man out or something similar to him out. Start swinging, start building up your board and being able to swap artifacts out. At which point you should get into the Scepter fairly quickly. I've had a turn 3 win with this deck before, where I've managed to get Soul Ring and Arcane Signet out, which meant I got Inspirit out turn 2 with a creature that could immediately crew it to 1. Turn 3 I played the Scepter and the Refractor, and I think I had a way to proliferate 2. So I basically proliferated the first 2, and then after that the Refractor gave me extra infinite turns, and technically it weren't turn 1, I won like turn 30, but like turn 3 in the form of actual rotations. So it was actually really fun. Honestly, it's a fun deck. I know a lot of people will hate on this deck because it's very combo heavy, or it can win out of the blue, which it definitely has, and it might even be quite complicated too. But a lot of fun, and honestly, not the most expensive deck I've built ever. So for the price it is and how much fun I personally have piloting it, this is definitely a highly recommend. But I am a dirty, filthy combo player, so take with that as you will. That being said, I will let you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you in the next one. Again, ignore the mess. It has been a very busy week. Have a good one. Don't forget to check the description for the deck list, including if I've updated it since this video has come out. It will be in the deck list. Deck list will be updated. Ta-ta.